Welcome to the first of The Lost Episodes, a remote session recording at the first ever Katy Pride Festival in 2023.
Well, here we are at the first ever Katy, Texas Pride Festival. It's a gorgeous day for once in a long, long time. We have beautiful fall weather. Clear skies and cool, dry breeze, and it is just gorgeous. Couldn't ask for better weather. What do you think?
Oh, my God, it is perfect. We haven't had a day this nice in, 8 months?
Seems like years to me, but you might be right. Not only that, during this festival, we are having a solar eclipse. How good is that?
I tell you, all of that are signs. Yep, it was meant to be.
The festival, I tell you what, these people really know what they're doing. This is quite a setup for first go-around for a Pride Festival. You know, I'm trying to count the tents and the vendors here, and I just can't do it. It looks like there are maybe 10 rows of tents, and I don't know, 12, 15 columns of tents, and
Didn't she say in our interview last week they had about 150 vendors?
Oh my gosh, I didn't remember that. Well, as you can probably hear, we have a nonstop DJ playing music. Earlier we had some live entertainment. We also have some politicians and candidates for office, for judge, Congress, different districts. And they have spoken also. I think that we've had a fashion show. Am I correct? A fashion show?
Yes, there was a fashion show. In fact, one of the models is walking by right now.
So Katy Pride is a brainchild of First Christian Church of Katy, and this is their first go-around, but I tell you what, it doesn't look like they're new to this. And the Pride Show, get this, the Pride Show used fashions from one of their ministries. They have a ministry called Transparent Ministry.
The Transparent Closet.
Transparent Closet.
Yeah, it's the first one of those I've ever heard of, and I think it is just genius. And they've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, they offer clothes, free clothes for trans people, LGBT people, or anybody that needs clothes, the way I understand it. Also adjacent to the festival is a pumpkin patch, a huge pumpkin patch. And the pastor of the church earlier urged everybody to pick up a pumpkin on their way out. They need everybody to have a pumpkin at home. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, this is, like Jerry Ann said, this is their first ever Katy Pride Festival. The First Christian Church of Katy has, since it was formed something like 10 years ago, been intentionally inclusive. That's, I believe, the term they use for it, intentionally inclusive. So, that they get us, they get the community, is apparent in everything they've done here. I don't want to say that the festival is perfect. Yeah, whenever you have a first run of something like this, there are bugs, but there are precious few, and it doesn't, like Jerry Ann said, it doesn't look like a first run of something like this. So, good on them.
Well, during the course of the day, we will be doing some just quick interviews because background noise is an issue, but we will feature a lot of these people that we interviewed briefly today in future podcasts, and we will center podcasts around these people because we have already met some amazing people. Right next to us is Melissa McDonough. She's running for Congress. And I tell you what, this lady has got it going.
She was sincerely self-deprecating when it came to her interview here on Trans Truth. And I for a minute there, I thought she was pulling my leg. She's done this before, obviously. I said, you've spoken in public before. And she said, oh, but never on a podcast. So I guess some of us are old enough that this is scary new technology. But it's just like broadcast has been since forever. It just uses the internet as a way to transmit the audio and sometimes video. Anyway, she's gonna pick up the torch and start her own podcast, she says.
Well, there are food trucks on the perimeter of the festival, and earlier Kelly went for a food run and came back with some delicious, what do you call those things, Kelly?
Sorry, cut you off there. Those were tacos from the Barilla brothers. Barilla is a mix of cheese and I'm saying probably brisket chopped up and filled into a corn tortilla taco, and they were delicious.
Well, that taco was not your typical taco. It looked like it had been dipped in something and then fried maybe, or fried and dipped. I don't know, but it was delicious and really hit the spot. Also, in the distance, I see some inflatable games and some kids jumping, climbing, and stuff. This is quite an event. I am very impressed.
It ain't a party without food truck and a bounce house. And they've got both of those.
Oh, I didn't tell you, Kelly, when I made my rounds a while ago, there's a booth across the way that are offering wine tastings. And I tasted 2 wines and had a little trouble finding our booth on the way back. So just a little confession there.
Do tell, wine tasting. All right, as soon as we get done with this spot, I am heading over.
Well, we're back here at Katy Pride Festival, and our next guest is actually set up next to our tent, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. Melissa, tell us where Congressional District 38 is. Oh my gosh! Well, Melissa, my next question is a hard one. Why on earth would you be wanting to run for Congress? You look like a normal person to me.
Yeah, I get that comment all that comment that you have to be a little crazy to run for Congress. Yes, back in 2020, that was kind of the first moral line that was crossed for me. That's when we stole children at the border and we separated them from their family. And to me, that's abduction. So that was the first one. The second line later that year was crossed when we took to the streets. I've always said that people protest when Congress is not listening. They rally when Congress is doing the job. And that was a protest across the nation. Then we took women's rights away. And the ability to vote on the job is just amazing. I never thought that would happen in my lifetime. So it was one line after the next. But just at some point, you have to stand up and say, not now, not here, and not to us. And that's what happened. Literally, my pastor talked about how to do nothing is to agree. But to have the leadership skills that God has blessed you with is defiance. And that hit me
So, Melissa, we are at Katy Pride Festival. Tell us why you are here.
I am here because I believe wholeheartedly at my core that my one job, my only job, is to love people wherever they are in their story. And you can't do that anywhere better than right here. This community understands that and they appreciate it. And as much as I outwardly appreciate them, they feed me. This community feeds those values. It keeps me grounded. And as you go into a leadership position, especially in the workplace, you need to surround yourself with people that can keep you grounded, that can hold you accountable, and then make sure that all voices are heard. And that's what you have here. That we are being heard by the yourself.
Okay, well, Melissa, let's take a look at your toolbox. Tell us what your background is, what qualifies you, what has equipped you for this moment in time. Well, again, that's Texas Congressional District 38. Well, Melissa, good luck to you. Good luck to you. You have inspired us this morning. We thank you for joining us here at Trans Church.
Melissa, you said something during your introduction. You mentioned taking women's rights away and being astonished that that could happen. I mean, I share that. When a clear majority of the citizens of the United States do not agree with that. And in a similar vein, the rights of transgender people, a majority, a not as big majority, but still a majority of the U.S. citizens think that we should have the same rights as everybody else. So we've been paying attention to this for a long time. And we know that there are certain political quarters that pander to fear and ignorance and basically get votes through that pandering. Got any ideas on how we turn that around? that is the job, but I'm going to be devil's advocate here and parrot the phrase that, but to get anything done, you have to first get elected. So that's why we see so much of this pandering, to the extreme right, that to get those votes that they could not get otherwise and would keep them from being elected. So not to badger you, but how do we deal with that? How do we turn that around? How do we? That's a fact. Okay. Yeah, we're suppressing the vote. Melissa, thank you so much for stopping by. We will, if you'd like, we'll make time in a more quiet environment and get you, on the phone and spend more time talking about this if you'd be interested. Good luck.
Kelly, actually, I kind of expected some protesters for this event.
I did too. I didn't expect many because protesting Pride events has become passé already, I guess. But you'd think that somebody would care enough to come hate on us.
Well, if you'll recall our interview with the pastor of this church a year ago, they had an event and had 500 protesters, including Proud Boys with M16.
Yeah, they did. I gotta think that some of that bunch going to jail for what they did on January 6th has toned down at least some of their resolve to come out and make asses of themselves.
I didn't think about that. If that event was a year ago, in that year, quite a few have been convicted and gone to jail. So maybe that's diluted the strength.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, we've talked about this, at least in part, in almost every episode of Trans Truth, the campaign of propaganda and disinformation. And those things do run their course usually. So, maybe that's a good sign. Maybe that the effectiveness of those campaigns are on the wane, you think?
Probably so. And in addition to that, when the pastor of the church listed all the sponsors for this event, did you hear that Veterans for Equality are sponsoring this?
Oh, yes. In fact, when we were talking about security issues, she mentioned that they would have a significant police presence here, and I asked about Veterans for Equality, and she said, "Oh yeah, they'll be there." So I am a member of Veterans for Equality. So on our private communications channel on Facebook a few days ago. They were soliciting participants to come down and provide over what they call Overwatch for Katy Pride. They've got a booth here. They're wandering around doing what they do so well, which is look for troublemakers. They have an uncanny ability. Apparently troublemaker behavior is easy to spot in a crowd.
Yeah, I believe it's called profile training that they probably have done. And, if they are here, and I'm certainly are, they certainly are inconspicuous and blending in with the crowd, because I have not picked out anyone that I would say, yep, that's a security person. It's not like your typical Walmart loss control officer.
They're in uniform. They're all wearing OD green, combat boots, some kind of baseball cap, and carrying a pack with some stuff in it and a radio. Can't miss them. Yeah, I've seen them walk by several times.
Now, see, I thought that was just somebody dressed up for Halloween. I didn't know.
Yep, those are the Veterans for Equality. For those of you that are not familiar with the organization, their driving ideal is the fact that every one of us who has served in the U.S. Armed Forces took an oath to defend the Constitution. In Texas, they kind of amend that and add all. Y'all means all. That Constitution and the protections it provides apply to everybody. And they like to remind us that the oath they took does not expire. So I am proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with those fellow veterans that continue to share the commitment to that mission that they swore to carry on. And joining us now is the woman with the largest name tag I've seen here today. This is Laura Jones, and she is running for U.S. Congress 8th District. Laura, welcome to Trans Truth. We could not have asked for a better day. This is just perfect. And on top of that, the spectacular solar eclipse.
So, Laura, you're a candidate for U.S. Congress District 8. So, are you running for re-election, or are you trying to oust an incumbent? Tell us what your status is. Okay, so you're an incumbent. Why are you here at Katy Pride Festival?
If you would give us some contact information, we'll schedule a time, and we work, via remote all the time, and we'd love to do that. Give you a platform to share what you need to share with us. All right, let's do that. Thanks, Laura. Well, we are recording, so introduce yourself and tell us what you're here to talk about.
And real quick, we're going to run through the gold sponsors again. Toasted Joke, your total foot care specialist. The Woodlands Pride.
Okay.
Pumpkin Patch at
So,
FCC Katy.
Tell us about Transparent
We're
Closet.
going to have another entertainer. If you saw him earlier, if you were here earlier, Lloyd, he's going to come.
I thought we were going to get away from the music. How long has the Transparent Closet been in operation? I like to think that I'm pretty in touch with LGBTQ events, trends, ministries, but the Transparent Closet is the first one of its kind that I've heard of. Are there others? How big is your clientele? How many people have you served? I can't tell you how cool I think that is. I mean, trans kids have it pretty tough in Texas. So for somebody to step up and do something so important like this, I think is huge. And it's I don't know, but it's got to be affirming for your clientele. Is that a kilt? It's a skirt. Okay. Now I will spare us the traditional Scotsman's definition of the difference between a kilt and a skirt. Go ahead, Jerry Ann.
Somehow I think that we're not going to escape that definition or differentiation.
If you're not wearing panties, 'tis a kilt. If you are, 'tis a skirt.
So I stepped in kind of late on this interview, and so I'm curious, where do you get your donations? Is it just from the church members, or do you have other sources of donations? Are your donations keeping up with the demand? So, yeah, well, coming in late, I don't know what to ask. So, I don't want to double dip here.
Let's have you introduce yourself again so Jerry Ann gets caught out.
Well, again, I don't know if this question's been asked. How long have you been doing the Transparent Closet?
again, I'm so proud to be a part of this event, the first ever Katy Pride, especially because so much of what's happening here is to benefit the Transparent Closet. I cannot say enough good things about a mission, a ministry like that.
Yeah, we covered quite a few Pride events, but it is so refreshing to find a ministry like this that benefits trans people, whether you're transsexual or non-binary. If you somewhere blur gender lines and you need clothing to define how you identify. That's a very cool thing, to find a ministry that caters to people like that.
I'm okay. You guilted me into it. I'm gonna have to start cleaning out my closet.
That's good. That's wonderful. Well, okay. We appreciate your time. You're welcome. We hope to get invited back next year.
Yeah, this was excellent. All right. Well, congratulations on the success.
Thank you all.
All right. Okay.
Okay, we're back, and our next guest is State Representative John Rosenthal. John, it's good to see you again. I first met John quite a few years ago at the Transgender Unity Banquet in Houston. I didn't go this past time, and he didn't either. But here we are together at Katy Pride, the first ever Katy Pride. But John, tell us what you've been up to, and what are you doing here at Katy Pride? Well, that sounds good, John. This is just a quick introductory interview, and we'll get back with you later, and we will feature you for an episode on trans truth in the future, if that's okay with you. Okay. All right. Before we say goodbye for now, what advice can you give our listeners? What do they need to do in light of the current events and the direction that we are heading and the political wind that's blowing? What do our listeners need to hear from you? That's excellent advice, John. Well, listen, it was so good to meet up with you again, and we appreciate what you do, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, John. Good to talk with you. You have been listening to the lost episodes of Trans Truth. This a remote from 2023 Katy Pride.